Welcome to the SkillRanch. This podcast is designed to equip entrepreneurs, professionals, and consultants with skills to impact tomorrow's work environment. Now here's your host, Bilal.
Welcome to the SkillRanch podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by Matthew Birch, who holds a diploma in financial management from BCIT in Vancouver and then went on to complete his certified management accountancy in 2004. Working in both public and private sector companies, he went up to the ranks and became a corporate controller in the equipment, construction, and oil and gas industry. During his time as a corporate controller, Matthew came to understand that while tax accounting may be a necessity, management accounting is the ability for business to relate the monthly financial performance to that of business operational performance. And after looking into that, in 2019, Matthew left his role as a corporate controller to take on a business development role with the Birch Accounting, a bookkeeping business built for the purpose of providing monthly financial insights to small business community under 5 million in annual revenue. Welcome to the podcast, Matthew. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much, Bilal.
Yeah, I did share a brief intro about you, but for the audience, could you please share a bit about your background and how your career has been so far?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I've spent most of my career, a dozen years or so as a corporate controller and had a lot of experience working within larger businesses. Certainly the management accounting side of it has been, the key strength to ally that. So a lot of it comes from helping businesses understand the correlation of their operational performance as well as their financial performance and how the two of those things come together. And so being able to take that experience and then bring that now to smaller businesses, it's been something that I always dreamed to be able to do, but never really saw a vision of how that would come to pass. And so having the opportunity a year ago to join Birch Accounting, to be able to get to meet all these small business owners that I've met in my community and beyond, and help share some of the insights that these big businesses have used to improve their overall performance. It's been a really exciting time.
Yeah, like working with your own community, especially during such times as COVID, like helping businesses around us navigate through those crises. I think so it would be very fulfilling for you. The people you see like growing up, doing business in your area, and now helping them overcome something that is totally new, different for all of us.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we come across a lot is that people who start businesses, they're entrepreneurial and they're risk takers, and they're usually an expert within the operational side of their business. But the other aspects of business are often learned on the job. And to learn about your financial performance through trial and error is a painful way to grow your business. And so, it's certainly been a challenging time through COVID. A lot of people have been, their businesses have been stretched. They've had to learn how to respond. And we've been positioned well to be able to help provide some of that insight and help point them towards the parts of their business that they can really try to see the improvements. Help them problem solve, help them maintain their profit margins, and overall build a stronger business.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the whole holistic perspective of an accountant, but what comes to mind of many individuals is that accountant is someone, or a good accountant is someone who will save taxes. The more you save, the better you are. So how true is that concept in the accounting industry?
Well, certainly saving taxes is important, right? If you're accountant is able to save you 10% of what you paid in taxes, then, maybe that covers the cost of the accountant, or maybe a little bit more. That's certainly an important aspect. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't stop there. The accounting professionals, they've got an expertise at dealing with numbers, at understanding financial performance. And so really, we should be thinking holistically about how can this accountant help make my business stronger? How can they help me improve my profit margins, or build a stronger sales strategy, build a pricing strategy that ensures that that you're able to earn a sufficient margin to be profitable? Or, and this one is one of the most important things that I come across often, is you see a business and the business owner doesn't pay themselves a salary, and yet they're a profitable business when they come to file their taxes. Well, one of the reasons why that happens is business owners feel like they feel a need to show profit. But if that profit comes at the expense of paying themselves a fair wage for the time that they put in their business, it's fictitious. It's not real. And so one of the things that is extremely important to me is helping a business owner define what their time is worth, and helping them move towards their business being able to properly compensate them for that time.
Yep, that is very valid point, that we do run about profits, but since I have a background in startup industry, where if you go to investor, they look at the whole perspective, your idea, your team, your market projection. So it's much more just than like showing profits. It's like, for how long would you be profitable, and how much will your growth increase year on year? And those factors are very important. So my next thing that I would like to ask you, like obviously you work with companies. Uh, when you work with individuals who have a certain knowledge of accountancy, how does it benefit them? Like as a person, business owner, they are hiring accountants to do their work. What sort of accounting knowledge, a basic knowledge that a person should be acquiring?
Well, that's a great question, Bilal. I think at the end of the day, it's an important thing that as a business owner, that you at least understand the language of what's being talked about. So when we're looking at the monthly performance of your business, we should be able to have a constructive conversation about revenue, about gross profit margins, about operating profit. How profitable are you after removing all of the indirect expenses of your business? We should be able to talk about what's on your balance sheet. So, what are the assets that you have in the business, and what are the liabilities, and what are the equity that you've got in the business? And ultimately, those basic accounting principles in there, they help the business owner take the big picture and break it down into simple concepts that can help them improve the way their business runs. I'll give you an example of that, because I think it's easiest to break it down to a story rather than, a bunch of accounting knowledge, right? So if you're running a business, so we'll take an individual that runs that runs a construction business. Now let's say they're doing $1 million a year in profit. In $1 million a year in sales. And their gross profit off of that is 20%. So, it's a decent profit. They're earning $200,000 a year in gross profit. And then they've got their fixed expenses that they have to pay for. And so let's say their fixed expenses are $150,000. And that leaves them with a $50,000 profit. And in that year, that might be a really good return. But let's say, as we've experienced here during COVID, let's say you start to experience pressure and your sales volumes are dropping and you know you need to cover your expenses. Well, one of the things that we see happen very often is that business owners will drop their price in order to try to maintain their revenue. And so if you dropped your price by only 5%, now instead of earning $1 million, now you're earning only $950,000 in revenue. And the thing is, by dropping your price, you don't cut your costs. Your gross profit ends up dropping as well. So now you end up with only $150,000 in gross profit. And all of that is gone when you account for those indirect expenses. So one of the biggest things that I try to coach our businesses on is understand every single month what your profit margins are. Do your best to maintain those profit margins and continue to grow only the sales that will allow you to grow profitably. And even if that means your sales volume isn't quite as high, as long as you're earning the right profit margins, you'll still be able to earn a profit overall. And it helps position you as a business owner to be able to maximize your profit, control your costs, and be able to grow back when sales volume starts to increase again.
Yeah, you mentioned a very valid thing, because I did took a course on managerial accounting. Your sales matter, no doubt about it, whatever sales you're doing. But at the end of the day, like, you decrease your variable expenses, then your fixed cost, then you are getting, and then taxation too, then you get what is truly yours. So that whole analysis, that is what an accountant will do for you, and that will allow you to understand the real picture, what is happening with your business. That was a good thought you shared. Working with accountants or hiring an in-office accountant, what other benefits does it bring for the business, other than like getting a whole perspective of what's happening around in your company?
Well, I believe the biggest thing that comes out of that is the timely performance management. So we all live in Canada here, or at least, you and I live in Canada here, and, hockey is a passion of so many of ours, right? So think of it from this perspective. Let's say that, we go and we play a hockey game, but there's no score clock. And so throughout the game, we may score goals, there may be penalties, the time clock is running, but if we don't know what our performance is, then how do we know if we've won? You get to the end of the game, and if the ref comes up and he says, okay, well, here was what happened over the course of this last hour, and this team won. Well, what's happened in that case is we've lost our ability to manage our own performance, because we don't know what's happening until it's already done. So the biggest thing when it comes to the business is making sure that throughout the course of the year, we have a constant feedback loop of the performance of our business: sales, profit margins, expenses, and our overall profitability. That allows us to make corrections as necessary throughout the year that helps us maintain our performance and maintain the goals that we set for the business. One business might be trying to maintain their existing level, but another business might be built on growth. And if your strategy is built on growth, you need to know even that much more, because you're investing in that growth throughout the course of the year. So are you hitting sales targets while maintaining your profits? Is that allowing you enough profit, gross profit, to be able to cover the investment in indirect expenses or new equipment or whatever that business needs for its performance. And the same is true even if we're a small business or an individual run business. If we need tools, it might be something as simple as, a laptop or whatever the tools of the trade are. If you need to make investments in your business and you don't know the monthly performance, then how can you truly know whether that's the right decision? So, yeah.
It is more about like getting the reality, the big picture across the whole company, what's happening, so that you can make better informed decisions.
Certainly, absolutely.
And so now moving towards a person that wishes to come in this profession, what soft skills would you recommend for them to really master to be successful in the accountancy profession?
Well, I think number one, the most important thing is that you take on the mindset of problem solving. So accounting, if all it is relaying information, if that information is never acted upon, then we're not truly gaining the value out of the investment in that financial system. So we truly have to take on a mindset of problem solving. What is the information telling me? What do I have to do with that information? And then what is the outcome going to look like? So if I'm starting, for instance, if I'm starting to realize that that the cost of sales in my business is increasing, that may come from labor. Maybe I've got some staff that I've hired and we're passing along a performance raise or cost of living increase. It might come from subscriptions to software that you use in your business, or it might be products that you resell. If those costs are increasing and we're not at the same time then looking at our pricing strategy to adjust along with that, then we're failing to take that action. So it's the looking at the information, understanding what the problem is, and building a solution to fix that problem. That's the number one soft skill that I see. And the second that I would say is really leadership. I think oftentimes within the accounting profession, we think of ourselves as data entry people or reporting people, behind the scenes kind of people. But truly, we're the ones with a story to share, the story of the business. And so we need to be able to take on the leadership role of taking that information, bringing that story to all of the relevant parties, and then working with those people to find the solution to what's going on and implement that. And that truly takes leadership.
Yeah, so those are very valuable leadership. Just today, like maybe like an hour before our call, there was a post from a person who shared like those individuals who are very much into like video games. They are like very great at problem solving and persistence, that you have to achieve that goal. You have to go anywhere to find that thing so that you can complete that particular level. So problem solving was like on the top of my mind today for that post that resonated a lot with me. So
Awesome.
coming to you personally, Matthew, why would you say that you became successful in this field? And now you have like a two type of experiences, one that you worked within a company and now within your own venture. What would be your recipe for success?
Well, I think that's a great question. And when I think about that question, I think ultimately we're the product of our environment. We're the product of the people that we come into contact with, those people that invest in us. And I can think of through the various people that I've worked with in my controller roles, be them other senior managers within those organizations or those within the accounting profession as well. One of the things that's imparted significantly on me is that there's a correlation between the financial aspect and the operational aspect of every business. And to look at them independently doesn't complete the picture. It's like looking at just one half of a picture. And really, truly to understand what's going on in a business is to understand where those two things come together. And I had the ability to work under a CFO who was truly exceptional at that. When I was in Vancouver, I worked for an equipment dealer there, and we had grown through some significant acquisitions that we had made. And every time we brought in an acquisition, what we would do is go in and work with that senior management team to build a set of operational and financial reports that help us understand what's going on throughout the business, and then relay that information to the operational staff that are making those decisions. And in doing that project, in building those reporting, it truly helped me understand the value of management accounting and how it can completely revolutionize a business. And so from that experience, what I realized is we were buying unprofitable businesses, and within a year of that time, they were hitting performance targets that they'd never hit before. Well, if I've been through that, and if understanding the correlation of that operational and financial management side, if it can work for a big business, it can work for a small business. And so that's what we've started to take to the small business community as well, is just take it in as simple a form as we can. Understand the biggest key metrics operationally within that business, understand their connection point to the financial aspect of their business, and then build a very simple strategy for managing that on an ongoing basis.
Nice. So that kind of relates probably the main reason why you came into Birch Accounting. So for our audience, could you please share how is Birch Accounting helping companies across North America, small businesses, and improve their processes, improve operations, and become more profitable?
Well, thank you very much for asking that question. I get really excited when I get to talk about Birch Accounting because I don't see that many other companies are really doing this right now. I believe it's going to become a larger part of the accounting profession going forward, but it's not happening very much right now. And so what Birch Accounting really does is we aim to take those resources that big companies do and then give it in a bite-sized component to smaller businesses, between 1 million to 5 million in general, but we do work with a lot of others. So we've coined the phrase the outsourced accounting department. And what that does is we help these businesses, first off, define what are the key functions that have to happen within your accounting department, and then build a strategy to be able to achieve those. Those could be simple things like recording transactions in your accounting software, making payments to your vendors. It could be applying receipts from your customers against invoices. It can be reconciling your vendor accounts so that you know always what the amount outstanding is in your payables so that you're always on top of those things. That's the foundational side of it. But from that, if it's maintained on an ongoing basis, then we can start to build that monthly financial performance. So we can show these business owners what truly is happening on a monthly basis. What are the trends that are happening? Are they getting more profitable or less profitable? And then we sit down with them on a monthly basis and we help interpret the results that we see. And what that does is it just builds that much more confidence in what's going on. And the feedback has been amazing. The businesses that we're working with, they really truly appreciate this service. And we can tell that because so much of our growth has come through referrals, and it's come through business owners connecting us with colleagues of theirs. I truly believe that this is so important to the business community because what's the stat that we always hear? And I don't know exactly what this is, but people always say 80% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. Well, if that's the case, why aren't we doing something about that? Why aren't we attacking the root problem that's causing this? And in my opinion, the root problem that's causing this isn't their operations. It's not because they don't know their business. It's because they don't have a system to help them understand the financial side of their business and how that connects with their operations. So I truly believe this is the wave of the future in the accounting profession. I believe many more accounting businesses will start to go this way in the future. But it's something I'm very passionate about.
No, it certainly feels that way. You're passionate about, you learn what needs to be done and now you're implementing in your own business, helping other people succeed. And for our audience, all the details about Matthew will be provided below. You can connect with him and he will be more than happy to help you out in setting up your business and making it successful as you grow together. It was a pleasure having you on today's episode, Matthew. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you very much, Bilal. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure being able to chat with you and share some of the passion about what I do.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. So thank you everyone, and I'm looking forward to having you all on the next episode of SkillRanch podcast.